Well, how about you pretend that I'm working and leave it at that? Me again. Oh, bit dark tonight. I'm not in a very good mood actually. Well, I'm alright. I'm alright. I haven't had a working boiler, for 3 weeks now. Seriously, my boiler, my gas boiler, broke down. Well, how long ago was it? 29th of May. I know it's a bit dark in here, but never mind. 29th of May, my gas boiler broke down, okay? My gas boiler broke down. A gas man spent, well, over 3 weeks, three times they came round and fitted new parts to the boiler and kept fitting new parts to the boiler. And I kept fitting new parts to the boiler once a week, for the last couple of weeks. And actually today a gas man came round after he'd finished work and he did a survey and all that. And he said you can't put gas boilers apparently you can't put gas boilers. I haven't had gas or electricity for 22 days now. No, I've got electricity, but I have not had gas boilers. I haven't had a gas boiler for 21 days. 22 days now. I haven't had a gas boiler for like 22 days. So every time I wake up in the morning, last thing at night, I've got to boil a kettle full of water. You see, I've got to keep boiling kettles full of water to fill my fucking sink every day. Twice a day, every morning, every night, to have a wash, sort of thing. I don't wash at night. I don't see the point of washing at night because I sleep in bed. I change my bed sheets every week and all that. But, I wash every day in the morning. I've got to get up 5:30 in the morning so that I can boil my kettle long enough and then fill up the sink, right? So what I do in the morning these days, 5:30 in the morning, I've got my alarm set and all that. I'm a postman, I'm Bill. 5:30 in the morning, I wake up and I've got to boil my kettle full of water at 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, so that I can fill up the sink with the water, right? So I boil a kettle and then I fill up the sink in the bathroom sink, with a kettle full of water. And then I do that and then I set my alarm for 5:45, right? 5:45, right? So that I can sort of have a little bit more sleep. And then I wake up and I fill up and I boil the kettle again, and carry on filling up the sink. Because it takes about 3 or 4 kettles to fill up the sink, probably. I only use 1 kettle, really. I only use 1 kettle a day, really, to boil up the sink, probably. But, but it was like, I spent sort of like, I have to keep boiling the kettle every morning so that I can fill up the sink enough so that I can have a wash, so that I can wash myself. I have to have an all-over wash because I can't have a bath anyway. Like, unless I'm playing water sports. So I can't have a bath anyway unless I'm playing water sports. So because I've got no hot water. I've had no hot water for 3 weeks now. Anyway, the gas man came round, Jason, he's a very nice bloke. Jason came round and he said to me that the gas men have basically given up on my boiler now. There's nothing they can do to fix my boiler. They've admitted that there's nothing they can fucking do to fix my boiler, basically. And so what they've got to do now is they've got to change my boiler to an electric boiler and put an electric boiler in instead of the gas boiler. And what also they've got to do is those radiators. They put these radiators at the Queensway House about 15 years ago or 10 years ago or something. Gave us all new radiators, gas radiators. And now what they've got to do with these brand new, with these gas radiators that they put in about sort of like 10, 15 years ago, they've got to take out the gas radiators, right? And instead of gas radiators, what I got to have is bingo. Instead of gas radiators, what they've got to do is put in electric radiators of sorts, or electric heaters. So they've got these gas heaters that they put in about 15 years ago or whatever. They're going to take them all out. They've got to take them all out, and instead they've got to put in electric heaters. So they can put electric heater in the flat so that I can have some heat. Because I've got a floor heater, so I'm not that cold. I've got a floor heater, but I've had no hot water and no gas heating, gas heating for 21 days. 7, 14, 21, 21 days now. No, 22 days. That's 3 weeks now. So anyway, what they've got to do now, what they're going to do now is put electric heaters into my flat. But the thing is, I'm pissed off a bit because the councilwoman phoned me in the morning when I was at work. I'm a postman, you see. I start work at 6:30 in the morning, you see. I'm a postman. And it's very annoying when you get a phone call from somebody to arrange a meeting. I did this morning. It's Wednesday, the 19th of June. I spoke to a woman from the council this morning, and she told me, can I have a visit at 3 o'clock this afternoon? So I said, yeah, well, I finish work about 2 o'clock, 2:30. Finish work about 2 o'clock or 2:30. So I can be home by 3 o'clock for the meeting, yes. And she didn't show up. She did not turn up. She did not turn up at all. She ignored the meeting. She ignored me totally. She did not turn up for the meeting. So I was a bit pissed off about that. Because I could have got an hour's sleep out of that, right? I could have slept for a couple of hours, you know. I could have had 2 hours sleep. I stayed awake because the fucking woman from the council told me that she was going to come round at 3 so that I could show her what was wrong and all that. And she didn't turn up. Very insulting because it took... But actually, Gasman Jason came up today. I met a guy called Jason, so really nice bloke, actually, very clever bloke, clued up on the water and all that. So thanks, Jess. But yeah, he told me that the gas boiler is basically completely busted now. There's nothing they can do about the gas boiler. It's defunct, it's dead. You know, it's gone to meet the maker. So I'm still going to have no heating or hot water for another week or so, probably. So I want some compensation from the council for this shit. I really want some compensation from the council. Do you mind if I refer to my Facebook page? Because then I can remember what I was talking about earlier. No, well, I can do anyway, but I was on the Facebook as well. Queensway Fights Back, you know, Facebook. But I'm a bit pissed off about it because, you know, but luckily it's summertime, so I managed to boil enough kettles. But, life's a bitch, innit? Never happens the way you think it will, you know. That's exhausting, actually. I've been awake all day since 5:30 this morning, sort of thing. Had a couple of little naps, but I only tend to get little naps these days because I'm too busy dealing with Gasman and the council and all that, and making phone calls and things. It's hard to get a good day's sleep these days. Anyway, so the boiler's got to be replaced with an electric boiler. Oh, apparently, I was told that the reason the council cannot put gas boilers above the 6th floor is because the firemen cannot get a hose of water above the 6th floor, right? It's true. The council told me, I'm sorry, the gasman, Jason, he told me that the reason the gasmen can't put a boiler above the 6th floor is because if put above the 6th floor, the hose pipe won't reach the 7th floor. The firemen cannot extinguish a fire above the 7th floor. So for anyone in England or anywhere else in the world, for that matter, living above the 6th floor, we have been told that the firemen cannot extinguish a fire above the 6th floor. So if we have a fire on the 9th floor, we're fucked. In fact, how about this? Give everybody in the block, give everybody a fire extinguisher right now. Yes, make that law. I've got a great idea for a law. Because the firemen tell me they cannot reach a fire above the 6th floor. Because, so the council cannot put a gas boiler, they cannot put a gas boiler above the 6th floor. They can put an electricity boiler above the 6th floor, but they cannot put a gas boiler above the 6th floor, which implies to me that the gas boiler is a fire hazard. I'm scared now, because a lot of people in this block, Queensway House, a lot of people in Queensway House have gas boilers. So the reason they cannot put a gas boiler above the 6th floor is because fire extinguishers cannot, the fire brigade cannot reach that high. Right? Which means that gas boilers are a fire hazard. Which means if you have a gas fire, you're dead. If you have a gas boiler above the 6th floor in Britain, so if anyone living in a tower block, apparently now, if you have a gas fire in a tower block above the 6th floor, your boiler's a fire hazard, apparently, because they can't put gas boilers above the 6th floor. That's what Jason has told me. But anyway, also, what should be a law? Everybody should have a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. The council should provide a fire extinguisher. A big one, please, just in case. Here's my idea. How about the council give everybody in the blocks, every council, everywhere, in Britain at least, should give everybody a full-size fire extinguisher. See, I smoke a lot, so if you put sprinklers in my living room, you could damage my paintings, because I'm an artist. Well, not a very good artist, obviously. But if you put a fire extinguisher in the kitchen, which is where you're probably going to have a fire, if you're ever going to have a fire in your house, 9 times out of 10, it will be in your kitchen. I will tell you why. Have you ever dropped a cigarette on your hand? There you are. That's a lighted cigarette. Look, I'll prove it, right? About cigarettes causing fire. Right, that's a cigarette. Watch this. Right, you're watching it? Light a cigarette. Oh, sorry. It's a lighted cigarette. No trick involved. On my hand. There you are. Ow! 9 times out of 10. Look at that. It's been on my hand. There, lighted cigarette on my hand. There you go. How likely is that to cause a fire? That's a lighted cigarette in my hand. How likely is that to cause a fire? It's probably more likely that you're going to have a kitchen fire, isn't it? If you're going to have a fire in your home, it's probably more likely that you will have a kitchen fire, isn't it? When you're cooking, probably, you probably have a kitchen fire, you know, that chip pan. I've had it twice, anyway, that. But I can do it that way as well. I spy like that. But the point is, you're more likely to have a kitchen fire. So instead of putting sprinklers in the living room, because I smoke, a lot of smoke goes into the air. That's because I chain smoking, right? So chances are my smoking would set off a sprinkler. And therefore the sprinkler would spray all over my flat, ruin every painting I've ever done, destroy my fucking videos. I'm very scared about the sprinklers. I do not want a fucking sprinkler in my living room or my fucking bedroom, because I've got lots of fucking videos, lots of fucking very, very dry sensitive stuff, like books, books that I have written, stuff like that, which is written on paper. Paper and water do not mix, all right? So I do not want a sprinkler in there because I smoke a lot. In the kitchen, yeah, instead, yes, put a sprinkler. No, don't put a sprinkler in the kitchen because everybody burns their food. That's true, that's true, that's true. It's not a good idea to put a sprinkler in the kitchen either. It is really not a very good idea, to put a sprinkler in the kitchen because everybody cooks in their kitchen, yeah? When you cook in your kitchen, you are going to have steam rising from the food, yes? You get steam rising from the food, which a fire alarm can mistake for a fire. Sorry, not fire alarm. What should you call it? We got a fire alarm in the kitchen anyway. I got a fire alarm in the kitchen anyway. I do have a fire alarm in the kitchen. I got a fire alarm in the hall as well. I do have fire alarms. But sprinklers are not a good idea. Why? Because if you have a chip pan fire, this is why sprinklers are not a good idea. Think about it. If you have chips, oil and water do not mix, okay? Fact, oil and water do not mix. Now, you're telling me, council are telling me that they want to put sprinklers into my house, into my living room, into my kitchen and all that. Think of this though, the kitchen, right? The kitchen. Sprinklers in the kitchen, right? You've got sprinklers in the kitchen. Now, fact of life is water. You never, ever put an oil fire out with water, okay? Yes, I'm the fire starter, twisted fire starter. I'm the fire starter, fisted fire starter. Anyway, whatever. But you never, ever put an oil pan. You know how it is when you get a chip pan fire, yeah? Have you ever had a chip pan fire? The way to put out a chip pan fire is to get a damp cloth, like a tea towel. You damp a tea towel. You squeeze it as dry as you can, so it's only moist, and you suffocate the flame. Can I put this on pause? I'm going to talk about this right now. This is important. Sorry, hold on. Has he gone yet? I mean, has he gone? She was cut of her, never. Oh, but yeah. About chip pan fires I was talking about, wasn't I? I think I was. What was I talking about? What was I talking about? Hold on. Chip pan fires, yeah. Apparently the council wants to put sprinklers into my kitchen. Sorry? Well, because of Grenfell and all that. The council wants to put sprinklers into my living room, into my kitchen sort of thing. I don't have fires in my living room very often. Honestly, I've never had a fire in my living room. Well, indoor fireworks maybe, but, you know. Yeah. I've had a couple of fires in my kitchen, mind you, you're right about that. Yeah, chip pan fires, actually. Have you ever tried to pour water over a chip pan? I said the council, when Hatfield Council want to put sprinklers into my kitchen. Have you ever had a chip pan fire? Have you ever thrown water onto a chip pan fire? It's basic chemistry. If you throw water onto a chip pan fire, the fucking pan will explode. Honestly. The saucepan will explode and the whole place will go up in flames. I can guarantee you. If you pour water onto chip fat, hot chip fat, factor is 99% of home fires are caused by chip pans or oil catching on fire. Yes? I'd say the majority of home fires are probably caused by a chip pan, or in the case of Grenfell's, perhaps a fridge or whatever. No, 99% of the time I think it's a chip pan fire. But if you throw water onto a chip pan fire, you will just make it explode into an inferno, honestly. Inferno it will be if you put water onto a chip pan. And the council want to put sprinklers to sprinkle water into my kitchen, right? Yeah? The council want to install sprinklers into my kitchen. Now, the point is that if I'm going to have a kitchen fire, it will more than likely be when I fall asleep boiling chips or whatever, which happens twice. Now, believe me, the only thing, or the thing to do, if you have a chip pan fire, is to grab a tea towel or a towel or whatever. You wet it, moisten it under the water, and you wring it dry as you can. And you suffocate the flame by putting the wet towel. You put a wet towel over the chip pan fire. That is the only way to stop, well, basically the only way to stop a chip pan fire is to suffocate the flame. Because flames need oxygen, you see. Fact is that flames need oxygen. But if you suffocate the flame, you could, that's how you stop a chip pan fire. That's the only way basically to stop a chip pan fire. You get a cloth, you squeeze it as dry as you can, you wet it like under the taps, squeeze it as dry as you can, and you cover you got these flames leaping out of the saucepan of your chip pan, yeah? So you have these flames leaping out of the saucepan. The only way to stop that is to smother the flames. You cover over the chip pan with a damp towel. You put a damp towel so that the fire cannot breathe, you see. A fire needs oxygen to breathe. It does. And actually, it does. The fire needs oxygen to breathe. And water is H2O, which is hydrogen and oxygen. So if you pour water onto a chip pan, it will explode into more fire and you'll have an inferno, I guarantee you. So if you put sprinklers in the kitchen, sprinklers will sprinkle out water. If you put 99% of the time, a kitchen fire is caused by oil over burning a chip pan, basically. Burning, that's 99% of the time, really, isn't it? In the kitchen. Chip pan fire. You've got one of those. But if you've got sprinklers, the sprinklers will put more water onto the chip pan, won't it? Yes. If you have a chip pan fire, so the sprinklers start activating, yeah? And what happens? It starts raining in the kitchen, doesn't it? It starts raining in the kitchen. And water pours down to the kitchen, onto the chip pan fire, onto the chip pan. And if water hits the oil, the fire will turn into an inferno. So you're going to end up with a thunderous roar of burning flames. Instead of a fire extinguisher, you've got a burning shower of flames. That is what you're going to have. If you put sprinklers in the kitchen, you will end up dying in a burning inferno of shower of flames. Literally a shower of flames is what you'll get, is a shower of flames. If you put a sprinkler in the kitchen, the chip pan catches on fire. The chip pan catches on fire. And the sprinklers spray water down onto the oil of the chip pan fire. And it sparks up, and the whole place would be a burning inferno. It would be a shower of flames. very, very dangerous. Very dangerous to put a stupid, ignorant and fucking dumb to even consider putting sprinklers into a kitchen. That is the dumbest idea I have ever heard. Putting a sprinkler into the kitchen, you get a chip pan fire, water hits the oil, bang, you're up in flames. That's true. And that is fucking dangerous and stupid thing to do. Have you seen who's running for Prime Minister lately? Do you know last fucking election, Theresa May gave Ireland £1 billion. She did. In the last election, Theresa May gave Ireland £1 million. £1 billion, sorry. £1 billion. That's £1 million, isn't it? 10 million or 100 million or something. How much is £1 billion? Enough to pay for a hospital. I think £1 billion could have been spent better on a hospital. But Theresa May spent £1 billion to get the Irish folks to stay Prime Minister last time. I don't want to leave Europe. I want a one world. I want one world. Right. I don't want to leave Europe. I want one world. But look at the Arab fanatics. Don't want to be part of that world, you know. I'll watch me other films. I'm fucking exhausted. I'm still waiting for some heat and hot water, you know. Anyway, by the way, go to Queensway. Look on Facebook. We're on Facebook as well. Queensway Fights Back. It's on Facebook. Queensway Fights Back. I've had a few words there. So if you want more information on this sort of shit. But that's a fact, though, isn't it? You put a sprinkler in the kitchen, you're going to set fire to the place. Are you dumb as fuck or what? That's all I want to say, really. I don't have anything else I want to say, really. So.